All right, good afternoon and welcome back, guys, to today's earnings with Jared and Brian, hopefully, and myself. So welcome, guys. Hopefully everybody had a great day today. Hopefully had a better day than I did. My day was rough this morning, as you guys saw earlier in the show, but hopefully much better days coming up tomorrow. But yeah, we're here for today AMD SMCI, which we like to trade a lot, and I put Rivian on there because I think Rivian is it's a good indicator as far as not indicator, but you know they got the EV stuff going on. There's a lot happening in that entire sector, so I think it'll be great to talk about and kind of see how things go there. All right, excellent, Jared. Good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Carlos. I'm doing very well. I'm desperately trying to get my camera to focus in. And yeah, sorry to hear that the day trading side wasn't too great. Hopefully, we found some afternoon or midday opportunities, but I know the morning trading is where we try and really lock in some buffer, and then everything else should be gravy. So it's really hard to start
Right.
on the back foot of a morning session. So
Oh
hopefully we
yeah.
can find something better for tomorrow and get some of these earning stocks to pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I normally don't train the afternoon, although the afternoon has been providing some great moves. I just don't have a strategy, and I learned my lesson from trying to make money in the afternoon hours. It doesn't work. I end up just giving more back. So I stay away from it. So data shows that's not my cup of tea. Um,
Hmm.
Looking at AMD, guys, at the moment, they're actually been pretty active. Even going into the close here, you're seeing a really nice little pop off the VWAP. Again, not a crazy move, but they definitely have been somewhat active in the last couple of minutes here. And overall, if you look at the actually the days, what I want to show you, the daily, we have been seeing a lot of movement on AMD. So it's been a stock to watch. I can't say it has not been great. Can't say that, but it's definitely been somewhat in play in the last couple of days, alongside with Nvidia and our semi. So today they have earnings. We'll see how they report. Um, Jared, what's your bet on this? Are they going to pull guidance? Are they going to give you something? Well, what is your thoughts, man?
Ooh, yeah, AMD, I think it has an opportunity to surprise. I think it's been discounted quite a while, and any upside potential here will kind of re-spark maybe some buying interest back into the semi like bull cycle that we are more familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely still in that like categorical downtrend that everybody is fully aware of at this point. So
Right.
I'm open for a little bit of a surprise and maybe some resurgence of maybe some buying interest or some new levels that we can see off of these lows. But I think like always, AMD's never really been like the leader of
Right.
anything in particular. It's usually like a very volatile laggard in this
Mm-hmm.
space, and
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes we'll be following like a much bigger player. So without those big driving names that we had last year and during some of the more bullish cycles of semiconductors, I'm not sure if AMD has the juice that it used to have. So we're looking for smaller pieces at this point.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I mean, even like when you have other ones like TSM, even MU, when they report, they seem to have a more effect on the overall sector than AMD does. So we'll see if they surprise us today. I highly doubt it, but it should be interesting. It's a stock we love to watch and trade. Peter would probably have loved to be here and watch his baby do his thing. As you guys know, it's one of Peter's favorite tickers, but he is in France doing much better and greater things at the moment. So good for him. Um, so yeah. So as far as news, there hasn't been anything major out of AMD besides just the overall restriction of chips, right, into China and to other countries. That's been the biggest catalyst as far as chips go, chip companies and chip makers. There really hasn't been anything as exciting for AMD. And they don't, I don't know, they seem like they're always on the back end. Like you always hear NVIDIA's kind of in the front end of this stuff. Always providing, their chips are doing this, doing that. They're kind of leading the AI race. So these guys are really much in the back end. So again, there's not any major headlines that I can think of right now. Looking through some of the stuff that I see here that is going to really affect them besides his earnings. And again, waiting to hear on tariff reliefs, as we all know. I mean, we keep talking about it, but every morning I wake up, I swear to you, there's like at least minimum 5 major headlines in regards to tariff, right? It's tariff, everywhere you go. So obviously that's going to be a part, and today's earning, we'll see how AMD shapes things out. And if they're going to, the big thing for us is, are they going to pull guidance, which again, it's kind of been the get out of jail free card for a lot of these companies. If you know you're not doing well, blame it on tariff, pull your guidance, and
Exactly.
nobody's going to get mad. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, no problem, we understand.
You have a scapegoat at this point.
Absolutely. So usually if you need it, that's the way to get out of a jam. If you're AMD and many of these companies like Ford has done that. And again, we could go down the list of all the companies that are just getting that free out of jail card. Their analysts, the financial analysts are getting a nice free pass in the next couple of weeks here. All right, Jared, as far as expected move, we kind of give us a leeway. There's not a whole lot happening with AMD, right? So what the numbers look like?
Yeah, so AMD is built to move approximately plus or minus $8 this earnings reaction. And I'm hoping to get more out of it, but I always start with what the option market is expecting. Given it's a fresh earnings YouTube video, I figure we'll just take a brief moment to figure out where these numbers are coming from. All I'm doing is taking a look at the weekly option series for AMD, and the option market is really well traded on AMD, so it's a very good representation of what most buyers and sellers are expecting for this stock. The expected move comes from the pricing of the options. It's a mathematical formula that just kind of spits out this number dynamically based on supply and demand of the contracts. So when we're looking for earnings and getting a sense of what to expect, we're often using this number as a general guide of a normal reaction. And that's very important because it could move further, and it could be a temporary move further. It could move less. That would still put it within this boundary. But for the most part, we're trying to get it to the edge of this boundary. And this boundary is just represented as a standard deviation of where the current price is and what would be a 1 standard deviation move. So that number for AMD comes right at this upper range. If I annotate this a little bit, it's this plus or minus 8.1 at the top of my screen. And all this means is if I take the current price of AMD, which, sitting almost at 100, Peter needs to consider taking a shot. We're trying to add plus or minus 8 to this stock price and get an understanding of where it could move. So AMD's math is luckily pretty straightforward. We're almost at 100. We're trying to add plus or minus 8 to it, and that puts the expected move high at 108 and the expected move low at 92. So what you'll notice is, like, by the end of this move, it won't have a huge technical impact. Bulls will be able to get a little bit more off of these April bounces that we've been seeing on a lot of stocks. We'll probably be able to fully clear the, I'll just call it like the tariff day drop price, which is a thing that stops most stocks dead in its tracks right now. And more importantly, if we see it higher than 100, moving to 108 might trigger some more stop losses, and we could maybe exceed those boundaries. But to the downside, all we're really looking at is, look, AMD was at 92 5 days ago. So if you've been a buyer of AMD, or if you're in range of AMD and maybe you're not able to take the risk of moving down to 92, the expected move says that this is possible. So we're always just trying to think who's in range, what traders might be exposed to this risk. And more importantly, what would happen if we were to move to either side? Would it be more technically bullish? Would anything be sort of breaking out? And would more energy come into the stock after the move? So, plus or minus eight's pretty good. The reason I'm hoping for something bigger, if I pull up like a larger time frame, I think we're all pretty aware that AMD is kind of skirting some dead lows at this point. I think we almost hit maybe 76 by the time April 7th rolled around. So if AMD isn't finding buyers at this point, you kind of have to question if it'll ever find buyers to stay in this range. But we are hitting value, bigger time frame, larger VPOC on the volume profile. So my hope is that we can kind of get away from this area, maybe move up to the 110s. And then if we're lucky, we might be able to see those 120s and 130s in the not so distant future. But, short term action right now, definitely closer to the 110 range with 108 being our expected move high. So hopefully we can get off the ground. And I know a lot of people are bullish in a sense, but AMD has been a tough one to call the bottom. I think a lot of traders have misinterpreted where the lows might be. So we're going to see if anyone is relieved of their position today.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. AMD is actually, their numbers are expecting an EPS of 94 cents, and as far as revenue, 7.1 billion. Right, so it's an increase over last year. We'll see how that's gonna play out. Again, with everything that, who knows when those numbers were done. And now with tariffs and everything else, we'll have to see what actually comes in with their earnings, and most importantly with their call, right? Their call, which will be happening usually the same day. What time do they report? Jerry, you have that? What time is the reporting scheduled to release today? Is it right after the close, or do we
I
have to
have
wait a little
it
bit
at
here?
I have it at 4:15, so we have
Okay.
15 minutes after the close.
Okay, so 4:15 for them. All right, and the next one we have on deck, guys, is Super Micro SMCI, and these guys, they actually had a big drop on Wednesday of last week, and that's because they actually released some of their numbers of what they're expecting, and obviously they're not in par with what they originally had planned. I'm showing here. For sales, they're looking at almost 5, and they were targeting 6 billion, right? So they kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit here, that they are going to be short, kind of preparing investors. And you saw that drop on Wednesday, and we'll see today if if that's going to play out. But again, just kind of putting it out there. Hey, we're not going to meet our numbers. They had the drop there once. You can see it here. Since then, they did recover a little bit, and today they obviously been very active through 31 million shares traded so far. And we'll see how they end the day today here. They're actually moving up pretty good, as many stocks are just moving higher the last couple of minutes here. But SMCI is a nice one. It's not a huge one, but it does trade well, and we day traded quite a bit. So I figured let's take a look at this one and see how the numbers will look here. Jared, as far as expected moves, I don't expect this to be big, but you could prove me wrong. What we looking to as far as movement?
Yeah. So big is relative.
True.
Humans like bigger numbers just
Yeah.
because, if it's 8 or 10 or 20, we think of it as big. But the share price of this does somewhat dictate the volatility that we're expecting. And from a volatility perspective, SMCI has the biggest expected move, even though the number itself is human based smaller.
Right.
Um,
Right.
the expected move for this one is $4. It's pretty much right on the $4 mark. Once again, I'm really just grabbing this number from the option market for later into the close. I don't know the closing price of any of these stocks, which is why most of the ranges are rough estimates, but this stock right now is looking to close somewhere around 33, maybe 33.30 or 33.50. It's kind of hard to tell where exactly we'll close. And what that does is it puts an expected move boundary pretty much where the technicals are. And a really keen technical trader would just see that we've been having some trouble around 37.50. That's our clear resistance right now. But we've also found that I guess like the announcement of some of those earnings numbers, we found some support closer to 29. And that's where our last rebound was on pretty decent buying volume. So um, it makes a range. Once again, the expected move isn't suggesting like a breakout of either side. If we stay in this boundary, the range will theoretically still be intact. My hope is that because there's some buying still going on at 29, unless we drop down further and really just like grab some more liquidity down there, they'll be able to finish this range run before seeing any further downside. That's kind of the bull in me who's thinking about the next move and obviously seeing a little bit of support. But the more I zoom this out, I mean, I'm pretty sure most traders are aware that SMCI has been in some doldrum periods. Bigger picture, we've spent multiple quarters down in the, I'll say, $40 and $30 price ranges. And with all of the volatility the stock has had, it's put a lot of positions off sides, especially if you're sort of in the wrong areas of this chart. So, really just looking at the probably last 2 to 3 weeks of trade, most of the positioning has been done in this daily trading range, and the expected move should be able to hit one side. Hopefully, we can get both. I mean, it's always good to run the entire range in both directions, but as far as just looking for the targets, target the highest high of this trading range and then the lowest low of the last couple days. That should be sufficient for the volatility.
All right, that's actually pretty good if we can get that. Looking forward to it, man. SMCI again, as far as day trading, it can do very, very well. So I look forward to having this one on my list tomorrow and seeing how things are going to play out. The last one on here, guys, 10 minutes to the close. We'll see how things are shaping up in a second. Here is Rivian. And Rivian, it's an interesting company. For how small they are, Jared, I see a lot of cars, man, on the road. Like, they're a very small company, but I see tons of these pickup trucks everywhere. And I'll give you an example of some of their numbers of what they're expected to kind of give you an idea of the size. So for this quarter, they're expecting 981 million, and that's a big drop from last quarter reports, which was 1.73 billion, right? So big drop there compared to what they did last quarter. Obviously, the economy, everything else, tariffs, who knows? Everything's just kind of dictating that they're going to do a lot less this quarter. And from a year ago, this same time, even less than that, that was at 1.2 billion. So even less than a year ago. So things are not looking that well. Some of the big headlines for them are, they're investing in their manufacturing. They need to manufacture more cars. I think people like their cars, that they look somewhat interesting. I mean, I see them on the road and it catches your eye, no question about it. They're not cheap vehicles. Like, if you look up the price, they're pretty steep for EV, and I think they only have like really two real models that you see on the road, and then the rest, these guys make the Amazon van, right? So and over here, guys, Amazon vans are everywhere. I did not know they were made by Rivian until someone mentioned it, and you can see it. The headlights look very similar to what their pickup truck and their Jeeps, SUVs look. So we'll see how their numbers come out. They are expecting a loss of 79 cents on their EPS. So if they come around that, this should be okay. But if they lose more than that, I think that's when we're gonna start seeing the fireworks come out here. So as far as major news, they're investing. At the major news they have going on is the investment in Illinois. They got 120 million for a manufacturing plant out there. So this is a U.S. company. They do make their cars here. So tariffs technically don't affect them directly, but you gotta keep in mind. I always remind people, because everybody thinks tariff, they think anything that's being imported. Again, if families, if workers, consumers, they feel like everything is expensive, they're not going to go out there and buy such an expensive vehicle. They're going to hold on to their money. So it affects every company, no matter if it's a U.S. company, made in America, made in whoever or wherever. It's not going to, it's not going to be a good number if people are not going out there and spending their money. They're holding on to their cash. So today so far, we're seeing a little bit of activity, not much as we saw with SMCI and AMD. I think they're a lot more active. We do got some volume today, 29 million. We're pretty much flat, and we're not even gapping up or down on this one. So what do the numbers look for this one, Jared?
Yeah, so for Rivian, smaller overall concept with regards to expected move. Still a high volatile expectation. $13.5 stock moving 1.5 up or down. That's about 12%
Hmm.
volatility. So as far as like if you were invested in this company with a lot of cash, 12% up or down is kind of a lot to tolerate. So always keeping that in mind. It's the lowest number, but it's still a decent volatile move for the stock. Um, it is 1.5, so upper expected move is 15, lower expected move is 12. I wasn't necessarily seeing anything indicative of like a side on this one, and I looked at the others too. They were much more balanced with bulls and bears, call buying and put buying. Rivian's got some similar qualities, and I'm always looking for maybe where the heaviest trade is. There's a lot at 12. There theoretically is still a lot at 15, but not a lot of volume came in today. It's actually more to the downside. So, um, yeah, keep this range in mind. Nothing really technically clear on this one. No major breakouts in quite a while. Some buying volume came in preparation for earnings. We're obviously up past week or so, but net, this could kind of go either way. And I think either move would be one to maybe consider like pivoting and just playing it back. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see if we get anything there. The only thing I'll say is like year to date open is kind of where we're trading today. It's one of those hidden prices that we kind of forget about, just
Mm.
whether the stock is green or red on the year. So if we do get out of this little boundary that we find ourselves in, stock would be green on the year, so that was just constructive. Not every stock this
Hmm.
year is performing, so
Yeah.
Rivian might find itself in a unique category in that regard.
Yeah.
So.
This is another ticker that again will be on my list tomorrow. They can trade very well. We've seen them actually when they get volume and they have a direction, they're pretty good as far as reading the
Mhm.
price action. So I'm looking forward to having them in the watch list tomorrow. All three of these are going to be on the watch list. They can do some pretty good stuff. So all right, let's looking forward to 4 minutes to the close. Let's see how the SPY is shaping up here. We are getting just a little bit of a sell-off going into a couple of minutes here. But again, for the most part, the SPY stayed put, man. It didn't really give us a whole lot of movement one way or the other today. I mean, if you look at it as far as the daily, we might close we're almost closing flat on this thing. So again,
Hmm.
very small movements. It looks like the moves are getting smaller and smaller. If you guys remember, we had all the madness with the tariffs here on April 2nd. Then we had the buy signal from President Trump, and then we had just kind of settling down, and now it's just been pretty much flat. And even through this, we've been getting some really good trading activities on some of the tickers that we watch on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, but yeah, look at this how small these days are, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
The volatility contraction really
yeah,
skews how our sessions have looked. Even though we've
yes,
been drifting higher, you look at the size of the magnitude of the candles has just really changed. And that's very
yeah,
normal. High volatility periods, you're going to get huge sentiment shifts on a dime.
yeah,
When news is more known or if the market's kind of accepting certain conditions, you'll notice that volatility does tend to normalize. So
yeah,
it's a tale as old as time, volatility
yep,
high, expect it to mean revert and come back in.
yeah,
So
yep. All right. So out of all these three, who's the first one on deck? Who's gonna be reporting first? You said AMD's at 4:15, so 15 minutes
yeah.
after the close. Uh, and SMCI, what do we have for them?
So Rivian is our first one. That one's at 405.
Okay.
And assuming all these numbers are correct, I'm grabbing it from what's reported, but you know how the market likes to move ahead of us.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and then SMCI is at 420. So if we're looking step by step, Rivian should be first, then AMD about 10 minutes later, and then 5 minutes after AMD, we should have SMCI. That's the fingers crossed approach that everybody's looking for. But I'll have them kind of ordered that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping Rivian is the first one to watch, and just kind of looking for that $1.50 higher lower kind of move. I think
Yeah.
AMD I'll have the most focus on because it's our beloved child that has been
Yeah.
misbehaving recently.
Yeah.
And I lost my expected move on that. Where did it go? I have to re-put my upper expected move there. And
Mm-hmm.
uh and then SMCI.
Yep. Awesome.
SMCI might be the only one to breach though. If I'm thinking about how SMCI normally trades, it
Mm-hmm.
does have the propensity to surprise. So I'm hoping that range does break. Yeah,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
volatility if it does.
Yeah. Let's I like that schedule. Hopefully they stick to it because we saw last week a couple of times. Like, what was the big one that we missed? Because was it I forgot what it was, but it was a big company. They scheduled to like 4 or 5, and they actually released that 4, and we were looking at different ticket that was supposed to come first, and they were just all out of whack. So hopefully that
Right.
they stick to that schedule. So what I'm gonna do is this time learning from that. I'm gonna have, since AMD's the one that we're gonna be looking for. I'm gonna have that in a different chart here ready to go as we look for Rivian to report first.
I,
So
th-
there it
I,
is.
th-
There's the close, and
I think it was Microsoft, the one that you were thinking of, because Microsoft came
yes.
out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It had the big breach. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not do that to us this time, so we can,
Yeah. Be nice.
anticipate. But
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so yeah, I think we're just kind of in monitor mode. I'm not sure if I'll trade any of these. I do want to, but with my internet stability today, I think I'm gonna take a pause on any risky trades after hours.
Yes.
Um,
Especially after hours. I mean, you do not want to run into an issue or get stuck
exactly.
in these tickers after hours. It's not a good look. Um,
But I will hopefully guide some traders if y'all are looking for kind of where to be focused. I really do look at just the boundaries of the expected move for anything that's against the larger price action.
mhm.
And I also think about just whole dollars because even though the expected move is 108 to 92, I know that there's going to be people at 110 and 90. So those $2 differences do matter. And
Yeah.
I might want to wait and see how those orders fill before anything changes. So, these are just where the boundaries of probability lie, and the stocks are obviously going to deviate slightly whenever there's orders to be filled. So
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. All right, waiting for Rivian to come out here, and I have AMD on my other screen just in case, and then we'll look at SMCI last here, um, and then we'll wait for Benzinga to give us our numbers and see what they come in as here as well. So, and then tomorrow we have Fed tomorrow, so that should
hmm
provide some volatility maybe.
I think it was why today was a pretty flat day overall. I mean,
Yeah,
movement on the session, but a pretty neutral flat close. It's very indicative of a pre-FOMC day. So
yeah, yeah,
we
and
don't normally see like a lot of positioning right before in the
mm-hmm,
price action. It's usually in
yeah.
the option market that they're anticipating something.
Yeah, and why not wait? Why? It's one more
hmm
day. Wait to see what the deal is going to be. Again, it's so funny because everybody's kind of expecting no change, but the market is just weird. It's weird.
Well, I
Uh,
have some comments on that in engineering the markets tomorrow. So if you are
oh,
one of
okay.
the early
Looking forward to
risers,
that.
yeah,
I'm
we'll
looking
we'll have
forward to
some
that.
insight into that.
Yep,
But
yep.
that's
Uh,
for BBT members only who like to wake up super early.
yes.
So
Um, all right, so we're into for the release here of Rivian. No volume just yet. Some other companies reporting here. Ultra Genex Rare, nice ticker name, just reported. Don't think this company. Yes, dead. Nothing's happening. It's no volume whatsoever. Wind Resorts also reported.
yeah, yeah, wins
Wind.
coming out. Looks like
Oh,
they
look at
missed
that.
EPS.
Yeah,
We
big
used
drop for wins.
it's incredible how we used to trade these, and I mean they
I
were like
know.
big intraday
Yeah.
movers. Now we kind of forget about them, but they're still out there doing some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There it is. Drop for them. Not
Mhm.
looking good.
We're just not in the same period after the pandemic where all that volatility was in those travel and I
Oh
would say like
yeah.
leisure stocks, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Vegas Sands, all those, because even
Hmm.
casinos were very active and traded well, but now they're not as much.
Yeah, just normal.
Brian, where are you, Brian? You're in a beautiful coffee shop. What's going on, Brian? I hear Brian. I don't know if he can hear us, but I do hear. I was wondering where that music background was coming from, but he probably can't hear us yet because he's not talking. All right, excellent. We'll see this one here.
We're waiting for AMD 415.
Uh, Rivian now. So Rivian is coming out. Can you hear us, Brian? Check, check, 1, 2. All right, not sure if you can hear us. But yeah, here's Rivian. We're getting a reaction
There
right
goes
now. So
Rivian.
here's a pop.
Yeah,
Waiting to
there's
see
also
the numbers come out.
there's some volume on SMCI. I'm looking to see if the numbers are reported, but we shouldn't be having them this early. Rivian is
Mm-hmm.
out. I'm waiting to grab the numbers here.
Yeah, I see SMCI dropping right now. Wow. SMCI. Yeah,
Yeah, I
these
just heard.
scheduled times, man, are just out of control.
Yeah, I just heard through the audio that SMCI was a miss. I'll grab the numbers once they're printed, but
Yeah. Wow, look at Rivian. Up, now slamming down. This is going to be so much fun tomorrow on Rivian. I can see it already. It's going to be front and center for us, friends. Let me just text Brian. Make sure let him know that
okay.
we see him, but we don't and hear him. Brian. We can hear you.
Okay, so I'm
Wow, look at
seeing.
Rivian is wild, man. Up, down, and SMCI is just a bloodbath at the
Oh,
moment.
SMCI is dropping.
SMCI. Okay. AMD has no momentum yet. Yeah, Ben, AMD is going to be at a 415. So we got a few minutes to go. But again, it doesn't matter because we expect the SMCI to be at 420, right, Jarrett?
That is correct.
And
Yeah.
that was what
So
this website showed. And look at it go here.
yeah, so the numbers are out on SMCI.
Mm-hmm.
They're obviously ahead of the expected time, but I'm trying to get Rivian's numbers, and John has them posted in the chat room. Looks like, if I'm reading this right, 1.2 billion revenue versus, I don't know, the way it's reported here is kind of weird. 1.02 billion estimate, but I need to see what their actual revenue was. EPS is slightly higher than the estimate, still negative. It's 0.48 versus 0.92. So looks like less of a loss.
Right, because they were
But the rev,
expecting a loss, right? So
yeah. And trade right now is pretty sideways, very neutral.
yeah,
Okay,
I see
higher
where settled
revenue. I
start.
see. I see.
Okay.
So yeah, higher revenue coming in this quarter, still loss, total loss. Okay. Perfect.
The one that's really got some action here, guys, is SMCI. I mean, just look at it go. That is not looking good. And it's interesting because they gave a heads up they were going to have bad numbers. I wonder if the numbers came in even worse than what they originally gave the investors a heads up on. So let's wait to see what the numbers look like on SMCI. I don't have them yet. Waiting for them to be reported here. But they are dropping. Jared, what's the expected move on SMCI? Because they might be.
They're on approach. Yeah, it's about $4. So we closed at about 33. It would imply that maybe 29 is where it needs to go, but I'm obviously watching it at 30 right now just to see if anyone's still buying there.
Okay.
The way it's dropping, it's a little rough to grab a dropping stock like that, but you should expect something at 30. I'm just afraid that it's got another dollar left in it. So there might be a reaction off of 30 just because of the psychological price.
Yep. And I'm watching AMD on my other charts. No movement on AMD yet, so it looks like they might be sticking to their 415 release.
I know a couple of other things are reporting right now. Upstart looks like it's down $10 a share. Probably expected somewhere around $8. No, about 10. So Upstart's looking really nice too. It's down about 20% total here. And CPNG, which is a Coupang, if I remember that one correctly. Yeah. Low volume on CPNG, but down about $1 a share, which doesn't really excite me too much.
Yeah.
But I do think Upstart is worth considering, especially if you're looking for a watch list tomorrow. Upstart does have some good volume and quite a wide trading range to consider.
All right, SMCI right now is where all the action is at. I mean, this thing is down pretty nice here. A little bit of buying there, like you said, at 30. Getting a little bit of a pop. So let's see if it can do something here. And Rivian just kind of flat, not really doing much at the moment. Probably gonna wait for their call, see what the guidance is, because again, they are making some good positive headlines with their investment of 120 million. They're getting like a 16 million incentive to do that as well, to do it in Illinois. So that obviously helps. And again, for the size of that company, that's 120 million might not sound like a lot, but for them, that's pretty big. It's pretty decent.
Decent rebound on the $30 price. A lot of traders really like those clear, put a stop loss under the reaction low and just play whatever the pullback offers. So
nice. I see you smiling, man. You're in this long?
No, I'm sticking to my rules. If I'm trading that type of reaction, that's exactly what I'm looking for. You kind of hit a bunch of orders, you immediately come off, and then, by the time you bounce $1, you basically go to break even, especially if you enter right at the price. So it becomes one of those trades that's very easy to navigate, and that's half the battle, just being able to survive anything that gets thrown your way.
On these, if you get in and you get a little bit of a cushion, you're winning. Oh wow, look at this thing, it's gonna come back.
And if you're lucky, this is the low, and then it turns and burns. But you never know off the reaction, so you always kind of take profits as you're moving back up the sell area. But
see anybody in chat take this long? We got a few earnings traders in our group here, so let's see. Anybody long, guys, on this one? It's the cleanest one so far. I took SMCI long, but I closed out green. As long as you closed out green, it's good. But I get it, man. Scalping is sometimes the way to go. It's not easy to hold through, especially if they're still too close to your entry. So I get that 100%. But this is working really nice, and it looks like it wants to go higher. All right, you longed SMCI. Nice. So we got some people on YouTube and also in our chat. that long. The Jedi is sad. You're short. I hope you're short, like from the close, and you already took some profits. I'm rooting for you. Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay, good. Good.
it's always tough when you're in a trading range. I mean, you know that there's some amount of support at these prices, and then even a short seller is trading right dead center in the middle. So if 30 has it and the stock does turn, you do have to kind of like get ready to cover out, because it's all about the edges in a trading range. It's never really about the middle. You're always trying to get through it, but if the middle lifts, then you'll be looking at a stock going maybe to like 37. So
Yeah.
but
iFetty
bounce first.
Yeah,
Here
iFetty
comes
says
AMD.
first time. Oh, here comes AMD. 415. Yes, let's go to AMD.
1 minute, yeah.
Yep. Fatty says first time in YouTube chat. Welcome, my friend. Make sure to subscribe. We're live every morning too, so you can catch us there. And a lot of these names are going to be on my list tomorrow. Rivian, AMD, SMCI, Upstart. They're going to be in play tomorrow for sure. All right, so let's see. AMD 415. Let's see if they stick to their time.
15 now.
Here we go. Nice, Max Size. Welcome. All right, nothing yet on AMD. Oh, here we go. Getting a little bit of movement. We'll get
So
the
we're
numbers.
expecting 93 cents a share
Oh,
on 7.12 billion.
here we go. Look at this. I can't wait to see these numbers. That doesn't look like a
Small-
company that pulled their guidance. Not yet,
Small
at least.
beat. Yeah, small
Nice.
beat. Ooh,
Small beat on top line.
yeah.
Said market was looking for 93 cents EPS. Whisper number is 95.
Nice move up.
Yeah, let's see if they can hold these prices here, because we're looking for about 108 to 110.
Wow.
And I'm actually noticing SMCI got a little bit of a jump there as well. So if AMD rallies and you're already long SMCI, you might get both of them to kind of be favorable.
Yeah, so AMD, they beat. They were expecting 94. They got 96, so that's a beat there. Sales as well. Let's see. Oop, keep shifting.
So we're getting
7.4. They beat there too. Not bad.
a bit of a sympathy move on NVIDIA.
Oh, I'm sure,
Not
right?
much.
NVIDIA. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, and if you got positive news, you don't pull your guidance like AMD's doing here. Keep
A
pushing
lot of
forward.
companies, a lot of Kiwi companies are all pulling their guidance. I mean, seems like
Yeah.
the thing to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right, so far we got two really good ones. We got SMCI, which is a nice, beautiful bounce back, kind of stalling a little bit now. Normal. Rivian was trash, like it just did nothing. So
Yeah.
hopefully tomorrow we get something out of this one, because that's what I was banking on. It's gonna be great tomorrow. So let's see.
Usually what I do with those is if the high and the low don't really result in any movement, I'll just trade towards one of those candle high or candle low.
Yeah.
The ones that are really exciting are the ones that expand, and I think now that we have AMD, it's like all eyes on the semis again, because here we are,
Absolutely.
we're still pushing here. We still got another $2 of upside potential, hitting
I'm
106 right now.
I'm gonna update my list for tomorrow. Right now, AMD, SMCI. That's what I'm looking at. Just update the bottom. And we'll put Rivian as a secondary. We'll look at it again. And we'll put Upstart. We'll look at Upstart too. So there it is. Getting a head start of the day tomorrow already. Doing progress here. Ryan took the bounce on SMCI. Nice. Ryan Scott in our YouTube chat. Beautiful. That was a clean bounce.
Yeah. They're a little slower, but I think if you're someone who just needs to see things minute by minute, I find a lot of traders find more success on those because the stop loss is so clear. You know that if it goes back through 30, then you basically want to be out. But the first hit of 30, it's kind of like fresh orders right there. It almost always causes a pullback. So,
yeah.
And then if you're lucky, you'll get a turn and burn. But there's not too many of those these days. PLTR was a turn and burn technically. So just went the other way.
Fetty in chat is asking, do we trade every day? Yes, we trade every day right here on YouTube. We start at 8:30, preparing our watch list for the market open. Then we go live all the way to about 12. So we'll be live tomorrow, 8:30. Join us there. And then Engineering the Markets with Jared to give you the inside scoop even early at 8 o'clock. That's in the members chat. You could check out Bear Traders for that access. But yeah.
How about that HIMS move, that HIMS move this morning?
Oh my god! What was that about, man? How did it end the day?
Was about that was about a 30% short interest, I think.
I knew they were getting squeezed, man. That the way it was moving, I'm like, we're squeezing shorts here really hard. It was a really, really good move.
Yeah, the first 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. The first morning drive was really exciting. I actually left my expected moves on because I always want to see how the week goes on a Monday earnings. And HIM's expected move was 51. We got, within 40 cents of it today. So it really goes to show that these ranges do matter a lot for the option traders. And even if it's not post-reaction earnings, it's usually something that drives price. So HIM's moved to it, and PLTR bottomed off of its expected move low. So it's a really good showcase of why these prices really work and what they mean for the marketplace. So
and the opposite end, PLTR as a short was awesome. I mean, this thing was really, really nice.
Straight to it.
Yeah. Bottom at 105.
You took that this morning, Carlos, I believe.
No, it wasn't me. I didn't take it. I didn't trade PLTR today. I traded. Yeah, some other ones, but yeah, it was funny today when you said, "Oh, it looks like Carlos trade." I was just busting your chops.
Yeah, I know. Well, I thought I heard somebody say you were short and you stayed short.
No,
because it was real choppy for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like
that would have been great.
Dropped,
I would have started that
really,
short.
Hard to get into that one until it really started to sell up.
Yeah. And you
SMCI.
got a nice bounce.
All right, So I'm gonna drop off. Well, I won't see you in the morning. I'm gonna be traveling, so
that's right.
Have a good morning. Yeah. So maybe I'll jump into the room on Thursday and Friday.
You got it, man. Have safe travels, and we'll see you Thursday.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Later, Brian.
Cheers, everybody.
Travel safe.
See ya.
All right, SMCI. What is going on?
There it is. That's the reason those bounces are kind of neat.
Wow.
They always start off a little timid, but if they can turn, usually I'm trying to hit the price that they drop from. It's all about, can you V reverse? That is an example of one, but most traders are taking their first partial on a pullback. So they probably would have taken some profit around 31.50, maybe 32. 32 is kind of high. Maybe like 31.50. That's about where you should take your first profit. Partial.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm not in that trade. I like showing those because there's so many ways to take trade ideas that aren't necessarily about like, is the stock breaking out or breaking down? a lot of times traders are doing things inside of a move, and
Yeah.
oftentimes not even considering that it could reverse. So,
Yeah.
the seller has to be just as conscious of this as the buyer. If you're short, you probably did feel that little spike right there because every seller did.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the whole
for
point.
sure. Yep.
So,
Yep.
and
Yeah, really nice move.
yeah,
Um,
I'm hoping we see some prizes tomorrow with how we open on these, but AMD it has a little bit left to go
mm-hmm.
on the upside. I'm hoping we start getting more volume because now we got to wait for the earnings conference call to
Yeah.
get it to
Yeah.
move again.
Yeah. This is looking real nice. So these two are awesome today. And Rivian continued. Rivian's just gonna wait for his call. It looks like if it's gonna do
Yeah.
anything, it's just gonna be after the call. Friends over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a ton to keep us live here. So definitely appreciate if you could take the opportunity and slam that button. We appreciate it. So yeah, I usually what I do is later, like around after I put the kids to bed, I'll come back and I'll check to see how these moves look and to see how the call went. Right, I don't got enough time to jump on the call; it's just way too much. But you could tell later in the day if something was said that was good or not,
Right.
depending on
Right.
how the reaction is.
I
So
think the one stock that I remembered that did turn a lot was Reddit.
mm-hmm,
It was pushing into about 141, and there
mm-hmm,
was a weird technical level there. I really didn't anticipate it was gonna turn back around, but
yeah,
as it was moving up, I think the earnings conference call reversed everything, and
yeah,
you can only
yeah,
really see it in the after hours, but it basically
yeah.
fell back to where it started and
It was
is off.
somewhere in here. We had
Yeah.
this last week. It was wild. It was wild. I
hmm
did notice that when I went back to check. I was like, oh man, something. They didn't say something good there. Um,
It's strange to like some of these levels that you find on the chart are almost to the penny. I mean,
mm-hmm.
it's weird thinking that a stock will be so reactive there, but if it's there for a reason, it's
Yeah,
a price that wasn't accepted. And if earnings can't get it over, then the violent downside could still happen just as much as it did before. So
yeah.
I
Agreed.
uh
Agreed.
I try my best to find those levels, but sometimes I don't fully understand why they're so darn powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
I just respect them as best I can
That's
because
it. Respect the technicals. Yeah.
I'm here to make money, and that's it. I don't need to worry so much about the company, but it is helpful
Yeah.
to know where the levels are.
Yeah.
But so
Good job,
yeah,
guys. I see a lot of people in chat took some of these trades on AMD, especially and SMCI on the bounce. So good stuff.
yeah,
Um, yeah, SMCI was a real. I think if you didn't have no internet connection, Jair, you would have been in this trade. This is such has your name all over it, man. This
yeah.
bounce here,
I, I
but
do
I
like
get it.
bounce trading. Yeah,
Yep.
it's it's such a slow and steady thing once you get in that it can make you almost like relaxed in the trade because
Mm-hmm.
once you get in, it's all about can you take my price back? And
Yeah.
just seeing it right off of 30, seeing AMD be bullish, it kind of helps with the upside. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if we open flat tomorrow, then it's possible that any upside in the semis could actually bolster SMCI a bit more too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, not a great earnings reaction, but it's definitely not weak. So
Yeah.
there's kind of a neutrality around that price. Um, AMD, I'm looking at the technicals here, and I mean, there's definitely some sellers who felt that move, but it's not holding right now. So
Yeah.
I'm a
It's
bit afraid that
coming
we're gonna
back a little
start
bit.
turning a little bit too much. I'm hoping we find some new buyers here.
Yeah. It's
So it's
definitely pull back a lot from the session high here, from the after hours high at the moment. But it did hit 106, just $2 away from the expected at 108, right? You said 108.
yep,
So
108.
still a great move. I mean, still, and it's still very early. So if the call has some more positive stuff to it, this can be looking very different up or down this evening. So we'll see.
So,
how that goes.
question on the YouTube chat. Where does
Yeah.
one find the expected range that we're talking about, stocks like HIMS and all the expected moves? So, what I'm doing is I'm going to the stocks option market, usually the last hour before earnings. That's when the data is maybe the most accurate, and that way I don't have to pretend like I know where it's going to close the day before earnings. But if I go to AMD, for example, I'm looking at the option market, and my platform is telling me what the volatility expectation is for the next week or the remainder of the week. Because it's an earnings week, most of this volatility should be from the earnings reaction, and if we're lucky, maybe like a session. So, I showed how maybe PLTR, we saw some downside on the earnings reaction, but we didn't get to the expected move until today, which was the day after. And that's kind of the idea is I want to get as much of this move from the earnings reaction. If it's already kind of breaching, then maybe it's like a new breakout type of trade. But really what I'm trying to do is get this move plus or minus depending on how the stock has reacted. And for AMD, I'm finding $8 of expected move. So all I have to do is take the current price right before it closes, just roughly what the closing price is. And then I go plus or minus what the number is. And, AMD may be closed a little bit lower than maybe where I priced it. So I could move those ranges down just a little bit, but somewhere between 107 to 108 is kind of what I'm expecting. And then I would also be looking at the downside because, it could easily move down just as much as it can move up. It's all about what they say. So, it's very much about like being in a boundary, and most boundaries are technical. This is more of a quantitative boundary. It's the idea that a lot of things are very much probabilistic in markets, and a lot of times you just run to the edges. So I'm trying to figure out what those quantitative edges are, because the technicals are not going to say it's easy, but the technicals are usually where everybody's looking. I want to know where maybe the quantitative traders are thinking too, and if they're coincident, if they're in the same spot, then more the better. So
yeah. I see Rivian is starting to look alive a little bit here, giving us something. No volume, but you can see he's dropping a little bit. Again, I think the action will be tomorrow or the call, so we might not see anything until then on this one. AMD still holding that, and we'll see if what's going to do here. But yes,
yeah, if I were to maybe, yeah, if I were to rank these, I think I really liked what Upstart did. I know we weren't looking at it, but Upstart was a pretty nice drop. Plenty of movement there, so hoping maybe we can get some range trading at these lower prices. Somewhere between 40 and looks like 45, if we see any upside. I definitely like AMD. I think there's still some upside left on that one to get it up there. And then as far as SMCI, if AMD is pushing, maybe the bounce trade can continue, but right now we're just running out of volume, and I know their earnings weren't necessarily great, so a bounce is really all I can expect right now until we maybe clear a little bit further on the upside.
Yeah. The good thing about Upstart, it can trade well, so we won't get it today, but tomorrow, hopefully we'll not hopefully, I think we will see some good stuff out of this one. So that's going to be on my list. I have it on a secondary now. We just got to see how the morning looks on it. Same with Rivian, because it didn't do anything. But doesn't mean there's not going to be a good one tomorrow, right? Tomorrow could be a whole different ball game on all four of these tickers I have here. So let's see how it goes.
I didn't really rank Rivian too high, sorry, but
the
fact that it's not moving, like I think all we can do is
like Jeez,
Oh,
I expected more than this, but
mhm.
uh,
It's just no one
it's
likes
dead.
the stock, and no one's really trading it anymore, which is part
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
reason. Less eyes on an asset, and
yeah, yeah,
everybody just has their favorites now. They put more volume there. So
yeah. Everybody's looking just at Tesla. You want to trade something electric vehicle? Tesla. That's what you go with. So,
yeah,
yep.
we've been having these random like small EV companies crop up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Zaps, or that ZEV, or
Weibo, is it Weibo or something?
yeah,
It's a few
kind of
here.
forget all the names. There's been
Yeah,
like two or three that have showed up the past week, so I mean
yeah.
we're always looking for the next big move, and it's funny. Usually the moves are a day or two, but occasionally we get these multi-week kind of plays, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
volume enters a stock all at once. Pony is the latest one that
I
we've been
know.
all watching.
I gotta get on the board on Pony, man. I've been just kind of not touching it because it just trades horrible. But look at it today. Today was a beautiful
Yeah,
trade. So
today was fine.
uh, today was perfect. But it has some days where it's just like I'm not watching this crap. But today
Yeah,
it's no crap. This is the real deal, and you can
yeah,
see the hype is happening, man. So I gotta change my perspective on the stock for the next coming days at least. All right, friends, that's it for us. Let's take a quick wrap around. So AMD here, again, trying to hold that 102, keeps going to 102.50 and bouncing back.
hmm
Um, it looks like it wants to go somewhere. I don't know where, but it looks like it's not done moving. Might just wait for its call, and then later we'll check to see how it looks. But tomorrow AMD is going to be in play for sure. SMCI is another one that's pulled back from the view up here. Went to the previous day close, gave you a beautiful bounce that a lot of you guys in chat took, so nice job there. And
hmm
UPST just had one drop, gave you nothing else. But tomorrow, I'm with you, Jerry. I like this one. I think tomorrow it'll be a good one. So I might move that up to my main list next to AMD SMCI. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
good, guys. If you're first time on YouTube, check us out here. Subscribe. We'll be live tomorrow at 8:30 to prepare for the market open, and then we'll trade live with you at 9:30. 9:30 we go straight to the bell and trade lives, and these tickets will be in play for us to take a look at. Jerry, any final thoughts on everything going on here?
no, I think just the comments that I mentioned before, expected moves often will hit maybe the next day or the days before the Friday expiration. So if you were tracking these numbers, keep them on your chart. They're not invalid just because they haven't been hit yet, but they kind of offer these targets for us. And as intraday traders, just getting to these new price highs or price lows is enough for a good intraday trade. And we saw that with PLTR. We saw that with HIMS today for sure, especially where it
Oh,
started in the
Hims
morning.
is wild. Yeah. Oh
And
man.
at the end of the day, you can take a couple trades there because some traders were trading off of it, some traders were trading to it. So very powerful. Just kind of know what it's for, and the fact that it's not necessarily just the earnings reaction. There's often more to the puzzle after the market opens tomorrow. So we'll be on the lookout for those opportunities.
All right. Absolutely. Guys, take care. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you in the morning, 8 a.m. in chat with Jared, 8:30 on YouTube. And have a great evening. And I'm going to hop back on a little later and see how AMD SMCI look after their call. So take care, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Later, everybody.